Now, I'm not one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Chronicle Speaks.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
So did he do it is no longer a question being asked of the famed music producer and mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs. The question now is, will he ever suffer the consequences for his actions? Ever since Cassie Ventura's lawsuit in November of 2023, Diddy's world has come crashing down around him. He's been dropped from over a dozen endorsement and brand deals. People in the industry are distancing themselves from him. He had a raid from Homeland Security on both his Los Angeles and his Miami home, but it was the lost tape of him abusing Cassie Ventura from 2016 that has ended it all for Brother Love. Now, after issuing a lackluster apology, Diddy's team seems to be scrambling to pick up the pieces to try to salvage a once highly successful career. Every time they go to pick up the pieces, a new allegation comes forward. This time it is from a former model who has very vivid details about the night in question. And the difference between this victim, she saved and vacuum sealed her clothes from the night 21 years ago. We are going to get into all of this, but first we are also going to get into Cassie finally coming out and breaking her silence. I saw a meme that says, besides the Holy Ghost, I don't know another ghost that's been working harder than Kim Porter. And baby, we are going to break all of this down and so much more, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this case and so much more. Now let's get back into it. Now, Cassie's lawsuit has been the forewarning of what was to come for Brother Love, and I truly believe that had he settled quietly before first challenging Cassie, thinking she wouldn't foul, Diddy wouldn't be in the heap of trouble that he's in today, but his own ignorance and arrogance has led him to his own undoing, and he's finally reaping what he's sown. Now, Cassie mentioned an incident in her lawsuit at the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, Los Angeles in 2016, where she and Mr. Combs were staying, and he became extremely intoxicated. He punched Cassie in the face, giving her a black eye, and Cassie finally said enough is enough and she decided to leave. Now, as she snuck out of the room, Diddy woke up. He began yelling and screaming at her and chasing her down the hallway. He became irate, throwing glass vases at her, yanking her around, kicking her. Cassie was very vivid in her documenting in the lawsuit everything that's happened to her during her time with Diddy. Now, people in the industry were very skeptical, but there were many people like myself that did believe and held on to every word that Cassie said, because we've all heard about Diddy's wrongdoings throughout the years. But when the video was leaked to CNN, everyone that didn't believe her at first were all giving Diddy the side eye. Now Diddy has given this lackluster apology that he honestly could have kept.
My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
Especially considering that he and his attorney issued a statement right after Cassie filed her lawsuit stating Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday. Then, not too long after Cassie's lawsuit, Diddy took to social media and said enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of those awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. Sean Diddy Combs.
Yeah, and also Cassie for holding me down in the dark times. Love.
He did that shit. You guilty as fuck.
Now, we've heard from everyone regarding this video and how they felt, but one person we have not heard from yet is Cassie, and she broke her silence today, taking to Instagram saying, "Thank you for all of the love and support from my family, friends, strangers, and those I have yet to meet. The outpouring of love has created a place for my younger self to settle and feel safe now. But this is only the beginning. Domestic violence is the issue. It broke me down to someone I never thought I would become. With a lot of hard work, I am better today, but I will always be recovering from my past. Thank you to everyone that has taken the time to take this matter seriously. My only ask is that everyone open your heart to believing victims the first time. It takes a lot of heart to tell the truth out of a situation that you were powerless in. I offer my hand to those that are still living in fear. Reach out to your people. Don't cut them off. No one should carry this weight alone. This healing journey is never ending, but this support means everything to me. Thank you, love always, Cassie. Then her husband, of course, Alex Fine, responded saying, love you so much. Perfect example for our daughters. Now, because of Cassie's strength and her being able to speak up against this man who just felt he was untouchable to the world, others are now deciding to come out against Diddy. And before we get into this new lawsuit, I want to speak about what Chaka Khan's daughter is alleging Diddy did to her legendary mother. Underneath Diddy's apology video, Chaka Khan's daughter Indira had this to say. I'm glad this is happening to you. You got in my mother's face and publicly disrespected her, yelling and screaming like a lunatic when my little brother tried to get you out of my mother's face. Your security jumped my 19-year-old brother. These may be your dark days, but I'm singing and dancing, watching your demise.
All in the video, all on the record, dancing.
At Chaka Khan, isn't it great, Mom? I put that in there, but child, that's what I felt when I read it. I'm really trying to see what would possess Diddy to want to get in Chaka Khan's face. Like, what were you doing, sir? Then to have her son jumped, I honestly feel like Diddy has done so much, allegedly, to so many different people that everyone is relishing in the fact that this man is really going down. Now we have model Crystal McKenna, who is the 5th person to file a lawsuit against Brother Love in the past 6 months.
For 1998. Congratulations, Crystal! Last year has been so crazy.
That's nice.
Out of this world.
Gorgeous.
At the same time, crappy. Don't be so bull to me. And then so cool.
Now, Crystal won a modeling competition in 1998 on MTV and went on to book modeling campaigns with Tommy Hilfiger, Elle, Cosmopolitan, and many more. Now, the difference between Crystal and some of the other victims, Crystal actually held on to her clothing, never washed it, and saved it. She wrapped it up in plastic to make sure that she could use it later. Let's get into this lawsuit and find out exactly what happened. So at the age of 17, Crystal won MTV's inaugural model mission on December 5th, 1998, and this was a television competition that was akin to Miss America. She was awarded a modeling contract with IMG. Shortly after her career took off, like I said, she modeled with Tommy Hilfiger Jeans campaign. She was also featured in Macy's catalogs, Elle, Cosmopolitan, Mademoiselle magazines, all of that. Now, she also made appearances on television shows like MTV Total Request Live, Fashionably Loud, True Life, and a movie with Joan Rivers. She also had international modeling gigs in Germany and Australia. Now let's find out how she met Mr. Combs. Now in 2003, when Plaintiff was 22 years old, a fashion designer invited Plaintiff to attend a men's fashion week event held at Cipriani downtown. At that time, Plaintiff was engaged in modeling gigs in Miami, Florida, and flew to New York for the event. The designer told Plaintiff that he would be introducing her to Combs, which could advance her modeling career. The designer began to direct Plaintiff's appearance as he sought to ensure Combs found her attractive. For instance, the designer instructed Plaintiff to go to Elizabeth Arden to get a root touch-up to ensure it was platinum blonde. The designer also scheduled a stylist to put in hair extensions for Plaintiff. The designer then handpicked a black leather coat with a fur hood, a translucent chiffon, beige V-cut shirt, fur-lined handbag, and jewel-encrusted jeans for Plaintiff to wear to the event. Due to the traumatic events that occurred later, Plaintiff saved the unwashed clothing from that night in her closet, where they remain in a plastic wrap. Soon thereafter, Plaintiff took a car to Cipriani downtown, where the designer was dining with Combs and other guests. Plaintiff felt little control over the events as she was directed what to do and put on display for others in attendance. For instance, Plaintiff sat down at an empty seat next to the designer, but he insisted that she sit directly across from Combs instead. Once seated, Combs made a very public display of coming on to Plaintiff in a sexually suggestive manner, which continued throughout the dinner. For others to hear, Combs bestowed compliments on plaintiff by stating, for example, that she was beautiful and that her eyes were gorgeous. Later, and at a more intimate volume, Combs told plaintiff was going to make it big one day as a model. Combs went on to tell plaintiff that he had power in the industry and was going to help her advance her career. Combs provided plaintiff with his phone number as a gesture of good faith and promises to help her. Throughout their interactions, Combs was flirtatious, bordering on leering as he leaned across the table towards her. Combs also plied plaintiff with alcohol throughout the dinner as he repeatedly refilled her glass with wine. After the meal ended, Combs told plaintiff that he wanted to get to know her better. Combs asked plaintiff to call him a bit later. Plaintiff felt confused but hopeful that Combs would fulfill his promises to help her career. Later that night, Combs requested plaintiff come see him at his studio located at 321 West 44th Street in New York. Plaintiff felt reassured that she would be with others at the studio rather alone in his personal residence. When plaintiff arrived, she found Combs and several other men seated together. She found that they were passing around a bottle of Hennessy and joints. After plaintiff sat down, one of Combs' associates asked her, "Do you smoke weed?" To which she responded affirmatively. Combs' associate replied, "You never had weed like this before." Plaintiff later came to understand that Combs had laced the joint with a narcotic or other intoxicating substance. Combs passed her the joint and plaintiff took a hit which felt very powerful. Although plaintiff insisted that she had enough after that, Combs pressured her to imbibe more alcohol and marijuana by telling her that she was acting too uptight. Plaintiff felt as if she was floating. Seeing plaintiff was very intoxicated, Combs demanded plaintiff follow him and he physically led plaintiff to the bathroom. In the bathroom, Combs forced himself on plaintiff and began kissing her without her consent. Combs then shoved her head down to his crotch before commanding her to suck it. Plaintiff refused, but Combs pushed her head down onto his phallus and forced her to perform oral sex on him. As she was being assaulted, plaintiff felt panicked and physically sick. Afterwards, Combs led plaintiff back into the studio. Upon standing and walking, plaintiff felt more and more woozy and then lost consciousness. Plaintiff awakened in shock to find herself in a taxicab headed back to the designer's apartment. As her consciousness returned, plaintiff realized that she had been sexually assaulted by Combs. Plaintiff felt humiliated and traumatized and without recourse. Following the assault, plaintiff's modeling opportunities quickly began to dwindle and then evaporate entirely. Upon information and belief, Combs had plaintiff blackballed in the industry and utilized his significant influence to impede plaintiff's career growth. Plaintiff became severely depressed as she began to blame herself for the assault and for sabotaging her own career. The assault led plaintiff into a tailspin of anxiety and depression. In or about 2004, plaintiff attempted suicide and was hospitalized. Everywhere plaintiff looked, she was reminded of Combs' assault, as Combs was an inescapable presence in music, television, and film. In the ensuing years, plaintiff has also experienced alcohol and drug addiction as she attempted to cope with the emotional trauma of being assaulted. Plaintiff has also experienced intimacy issues as she struggled to maintain emotional and sexual relationships with men. Plaintiff was married from approximately 2006 to 2010. However, her marriage fell apart as she had a mental breakdown precipitated by memories of the assault. Combs' assault has altered the trajectory of plaintiff's career, denying her a successful and lucrative career in modeling and film industries. To this day, plaintiff experiences bouts of depression, anxiety, body image issues, feelings of worthlessness, and intimacy issues because of Combs' assault. Plaintiff is a woman of faith, and when she saw news coverage of lawsuits from Miss Cassie Ventura, Miss Dickerson Neal, and others, she knew she had a moral obligation to speak up. Plaintiff prayed to God before bringing this lawsuit as she feared further violence and/or retaliation from defendants Combs, but ultimately decided that she needed to speak her truth. Plaintiff seeks justice for herself and for any of other Combs' victims. Now, Crystal is suing him under the NYC Gender Motivated Violence Act, and with that act, you have a 2-year window which opened on March 1st, 2023, which will allow survivors of gender-based violence to use the civil courts for justice even if the statute of limitation has already expired. So anyone else in New York that would like to use this act against Diddy has until February 28, 2025 to do so. She is seeking compensatory damages for mental and emotional injury, distress, pain, and suffering, and injury to her reputation in an amount to be proven. She wants to be awarded for breach of contract, and I guess because he gave her a verbal contract that he would help her with her career, and she said okay, but that didn't ever happen. She also wants to be awarded for punitive damages and she wants to be awarded for her attorney fees and costs and expenses incurred in the prosecution of this action, as well as receiving any other relief that the court may deem equitable. Needless to say, it seems like karma is rearing its ugly head at Diddy, and I don't think he can dodge the bullet. They always say what's done in the dark always comes to the light, and it seems like the light is shining bright like a diamond when it comes to Diddy. What I need to do is hear from you. What do you think about everything that Diddy has done now that we know that he did it? Leave a comment and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my new episodes.